Fuck a 9 to 5. Fuck a 9 to 5.
Another dream about him. bad side and they'll destroy you.
No one would miss me.
That's not true. I would.
Alrighty. Okie. Is this thing working? Oh, we got ourselves in a little disco call here. Hello, my friends. Hello, welcome to our stream today. I'm flying solo. Will should be here, but we're gonna hope nothing dire has happened and that he just forgot. Let's see if we can get this set up in. That's a little bit better. We can do this in the meantime. So, hello, my friends. Welcome to our Friday stream. This is the place where we kind of just shoot the breeze a little bit and, talk about what happened this week. Kind of make a little small talk for about 20, 30 minutes. Then we all go on our way to hopefully enjoy the weekend, then do it all again next week, right? So, all that to say, I hope you all are doing well today. I hope you're enjoying your day today. I don't know if you can hear my dog in the background, but anytime the garage door opens, the dog goes crazy, which is what's happening right now. So, anyway, first question of the day, how's everyone doing? How's your day going? And are you enjoying your day? We just had the end of Divergence last night, the EXU miniseries. I'm curious how it wrapped up. I saw there's quite a bit of chatter happening about it in a Reddit thread about it. I avoided both of those things. I didn't finish the episode. But I'm excited to watch it. I don't have a Beacon membership any longer. I'll have to check that out later. But in general, I want to get more into the Dimension 20 world. You know, it's funny to me, the people in the Dimension 20 camp who don't know anything about Critical Role, and then vice versa. When I first saw Calamity, I was like, what is Dimension 20? And, that whole group consistently seems to be doing a pretty good job. And more importantly, by the way, if you didn't see this headline, I think they just sold out at Madison Square Garden for their show earlier this year. Pretty impressive. So, as always for our stream on, Levi said, so many onions being cut in that alley. Oh man, don't get me too excited about it. Calamity's ending ruined me. I'm very excited to finally watch Divergence, which I have about 2 hours. There already was a nice little. But if you are a first-time watcher or you're new here to our Friday stream, if you have any questions or comments or topics of conversation that we can tackle in our short time together today, you can just drop it in the chat or Discord. McGurb says, I haven't watched Divergence yet, but I'm excited to see how Brennan wraps it up. He's such a great storyteller. Love his insights and the cool and wrap-ups. Brennan's also just an incredibly intelligent person. Like, I am consistently amazed with how smart. Maybe that's not like the sexiest compliment, uh, to be like just so very smart. But I'm always amazed his quickness and how quickly he jumps into. And then you begin in a tavern with quite a claim. Quite a claim. I thought Calamity was the peak storytelling heights one could hope to reach. I was incorrect. What a bold statement. Wow, I'm very intrigued. I'll go and throw this out there. A little bit of a controversial take. I have not enjoyed Divergence as much as I did Calamity, only in the sense of the roleplay has been great, but in terms of the greater narrative, first 3 episodes a little bit less tightly wound from like a story point in terms of like, okay, we're doing this, here are the threads. Past first 3 episodes, rather episode 2 and 3, have felt a lot more of like, where do we want to go? What do we want to do? Let's go over here. Let's see what happens. And Brennan has made the most of that, and I think they've been good episodes. But so far, Calamity is a level above that. But I haven't seen the finale of episode 4, so I could be wrong. Other than that, I have one of my D&D campaigns is ending here in a few weeks. We started as a once a month group, and since then, became like every few weeks, then like a couple of weeks, and then now we're playing. We have 3 sessions left, playing over the next 3 weeks, basically. So I guess I'm doing something right that the players are wanting to. Maybe they just want it to be over. I don't know, but are seeming to enjoy it. And then you begin in a tavern added. Divergence has hit differently with Divergence. I'll give you that, but the impactful moments have landed so much harder because of the stakes of level 0. And I think this is a great just DM tool role. Just doing something interesting enough and curious enough, which was to the benefit of the watchers. But I think for the players, it's very intriguing. A lot of times whenever we're DMing sessions, we're thinking about, how do I really make it out in my mind? And I think sometimes we're a little bit too macro about this. Sometimes it's like, oh, I need to tell a story no one's ever told before. Oh, I need to do something that's never been. And I think the longer you get into storytelling, the more you realize how like certain tropes, even though they aren't as trope-ish or well known, how a lot of the versions of stories we experience today are just, they're the same, they're the same 20 stories. So I think for a new DM, some of the pressure we put on ourselves is, I have to do something that's been done. It's got to be massive. It's got to be amazing. What I have found, actually, and Elitas, I'd be really curious your thoughts on this too. So you begin in a tavern in our chat. He's got his own channel. He puts it in we have a live a promotion channel in Discord. He puts it in there. Some actual play that happens with that. But my approach to DMing is not like the macro, how do I do what's done before? Mine is putting just enough intrigue and curiosity in a way that the players say, oh, that's interesting. That's different. Enough to kind of like pull the thread a bit. And you can do this like in your world building a little bit where, a good example, I think Matt Mercer had an example like this that he talked about being down. The party goes down into like a cave, like a massive cavern. And there's like one part of the cavern that has like a pristine diamond castle or castle of gold. It's totally in contrast to the enough of an intrigue or a point of interest that you're like, what's going on there? That's interesting. But even outside of like world building, I think like functionally the way you approach games can be really, you can make it just a little bit different, a little tiny bit of it doesn't have to be massive. Often a lot of that can, as you stack those things up, creates a truly memorable experience, such as Divergence, what level are we going to be? We're going to be level 15, level 10, level 20. What is this? Well, for Brennan to say, you're going to be level 0. Well, there is no level 0. Yeah, we're going to be level 0. This is a level 0 campaign. There is enough, there's so much intrigue and interest there, and you're truly giving your players something they've never done. So I think stuff like that, and there's some things I want to talk about with my campaign, and I'll do this probably as a separate video later on, Friday live stream. But I think some of my players lurk the Discord. I can't say too much yet. There are some things that campaign, again, are different enough to start to stand out for people. Matt Turner said, I think the story told by Divergence could be a great long arc story. I agree. There was definitely like makings of like, this could be a long form campaign. Out spoilers, travel episode 3 to the start of episode 4, like a mini series around that, kind of exciting. Then Lita said, I had a lot of thoughts, to be fair, but the ending of Divergence, in the opinion of this goblin anyway, ending made the series. And this is a little random concept for many of us. We often judge the quality of something by how it ends, for better or worse. This is like the most random, but there was a study done on, by the way, this is like I think this is such like a tired example of this actually. So I'm going to totally knock down the credibility of the story before I tell it. But as it was told to me, is that there was a study done what makes a great colonoscopy doctor, which as I say it, I'm like, was there really a study done on this? Well, the way the story's told is that the doctors who were rated the highest were the ones who were the gentlest last 5 minutes of the op, as they're pulling out or what have you. Patients who are kind of coming off the anesthesia, who have a physically more comfortable experience, tended to rate their doctors higher. And the interest here is that the patient really has no insight as to what's happening in the body. But the greater point of this is that it's really the last few minutes of all the work you do. Quality. So in the same way, you don't want the doc with 2 thumbs up review. In the same way, I think there's something to be said, having not seen the Divergence ending, but knowing there's a Reddit thread just about it. Very curious. This Jake saying, sold it for me. And then frankly, if you've watched our Critical Role commentary, I had some, harsh isn't the right word, but kind of like, I don't know, thoughts about the end of Campaign 3. Some things that really, it was deeply emotional for me, having not watched a full campaign before. But things that I was like, I don't know. That kind of brought it down. When I think about the campaign as a whole, kind of brought it down a little. And I'll give a couple of examples so people aren't talking about. One was like what felt like the lack of consequences, in that everything kind of just worked out. People have fairly said, well, maybe that's like a core thing, consequences, that's fine. But in terms of the party, it just kind of felt like everything worked out, kind of the best it could have been. And I feel like when there's a lack of consequence, that the weight of decisions lose the weight. And I'll give a good example of this. Brennan did a really good job at episode 4 of Divergence, and I won't spoil anything. Those of you who watched the episode last night, Phaedra makes a certain decision. I fully believe that Brennan would have kept potential consequence as a consequence. Fully believe it. Because Brennan actually turns to someone and says, sees 10. I won't say any more than that because I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but that is a weighty decision. And similarly, there's a conversation later where Brendan says, get one chance at this opportunity. I think sometimes for players, maybe this is like just therapy in some way, like getting your players familiar and comfortable with, tried to beat the bad guy, made this decision, plan fell apart. We're going to find another way. We talked about this, me and Will, in terms of Worlds Beyond Number, Wizard of the Witch one. Now, Erika Ishii had a decision episode that some people in a more toxic criticism said, you know, that's a wrong decision. She shouldn't have done that, what have you. Will and I really ascribe to this of something that Matt had said. Original issue is there are no wrong decisions. So I feel like part of that, coming to terms with consequence, understanding that at the end with your players, hey, we're going to collaboratively tell truly beautiful. It's not, you know, let's be serious. I'm not going to tell my players, you ever seen Calamity? It can be better. But I want my players to feel like I am crafting something. I want them to be able to walk away. That was work. Oh, because we all know how hard it is. Is my mic cutting in and out, by the way? Am I losing my mic quality here for some reason? You guys will have to tell. Shouldn't be, but it could be. Oh, who knows? Tell me. But you know, we all know how hard it is for. It is cutting a bit. I wonder why that is. That's weird. Yeah, I don't know what that would be. I did get a new monitor, and it's like already like glitching out or something. That is strange. I wonder why it's cutting out. I'll have to do some. Figuring this out a little bit later. I'll watch the stream afterwards to figure out what's the reason. Because I have no idea why it is cutting. Well, we'll just go with it, and then we'll fix it for now. But anyway, you know, we know how hard it is to get players to commit to D&D. So you want them to feel like there's a worthiness to committing my time to it. So in that, I just try to. Decisions have to matter. Consequences have to be. Otherwise, I don't know. I think this is maybe me making D&D a little bit more, you know, dramatic. Does my new monitor have a mic? Discord could be using it. Let's see. It seems like the cutoff background noise feature maybe. Oh, maybe that's what it is. Give me 1 second, fam. Just because we have a few. Check this. Take a look here. You can just, you know, dox me with my info here. We do have. Turn that off, maybe. Let's bring the sensitivity down. See if that fixes it. Okay. Oh, and I think I have another setting here. Yeah, the noise suppression. Turn that off. Let's see if that fixes it. It might fix it. Anyway, so as I was saying, you know, I think when things end too cleanly, it feels too Disney book-esque. And in yeah, it's not a true Pixel stream without a visit to the tech corner. Let's see, is it the right input? Yes, that is the right input. That is my mixer. Is correct. You think that fixed it? Hooray! Okay, cool. We did it, y'all. So now that I've rambled for 10 minutes about D&D with random words here and there. You know, this is probably like over dramatizing D&D. It's just a game, right? But I don't know. I feel like if it's too Disney-esque, then I don't know. It feels like there's just not anything you take away from it. You know, I don't know. And in some ways, I was talking to a buddy of mine about inspiration for D&D, talking about like a certain political person, and like I don't know, man. I want my players to like escape from the real world and not feel like they're living in it. But on the same token, I want people, I don't know. I think there's like some sort of like satisfaction, I guess, with like overcoming impossible odds and defeating the baddie when all hope felt lost. And when it's too clean, it doesn't feel as mean. And I can't explain it, right? I don't know what it is beyond that, but you know, you guys can tell me. You can disagree with me. You can tell me what you think about that. Levi said C3 ended way too neat. Yeah, I feel the same way. Love C3. Love the character. Definitely was way. But Mara in Iowa, thanks for joining the stream today. I like big choices. Makes it more realistic for me. You know, since we're on like the Britton Lee Mulligan group, there was a question he asked either Bria Iyengar or Lou Wilson in Worlds. But he said, going to make, I think it was Lou Wilson. I won't spoil anything, but Lou was making a decision. He had to make a roll. And Brennan said, this roll is going to drastically. Still cutting off? No. Anyway, he said, it might be because I'm grabbing this, by the way. Like maybe because I'm moving it with my hand. Like I get bored and I like grab this thing and move it. That might be, it could be that it's cutting off because I'm touching this, grabbing it. So if I don't touch it, you can tell me if it's still cutting off. Who knows? Anyway, so Lou Wilson's making a roll, and he says, this roll is going to drastically affect forever Vectrium. And I don't know, I feel like telling your player that is such a, oh, dang, this is serious, you know? But I don't know, I think the compelling side of it, that's kind of what makes a session fun, are the big swing decisions. Kinds of things. But yeah, I don't know. You think that's exactly it? Okay, that might have been it. I just realized the XLR cable on the microphone's like really. Oh no, it's still cutting off. Okay, it's hopeless, guys. We don't know. We don't know what's going on. It might be the new monitor that has like a little. It does have like an audio element to it, whatever reason. Which lesson learned there: don't buy $100 monitor when you're trying to replace your monitor. So, we just missed what you said. Just make your decisions matter. You know, big consequences, big decisions. That's all it is. And I apologize too for the audio. I don't know why we're having audio. We're having them regardless, I guess. Let me double check the filters on here. Ooh, I think I know. What's going on here. Okay. That may have been it. I did have a noise gate on my audio capture, my microphone on here. So tell me if that fixed it. I turned down. I think I know what maybe happened here. You'll have to tell me if this is fixed or not, as we as you guys fix my setup here. So I have a mixer. I have a mixer here. To pass through all my microphone and stuff. Well, I turned the audio down on the mixer to, for whatever reason. I don't know why I did, but it could be that I turned it down right below the filter on the microphone on OBS. So maybe that may have been it. You'll have to tell me if it's fixed now or not. So we have no idea, y'all. This is not a high quality podcast. We're figuring this out as we go. So anyway, to summarize all that, big decisions, big consequences. And the other thing I'll say too is building trust with your players so that they feel comfortable with the big decision. It feels really bad for your players when they think it's a casual decision and you think it's a catastrophic decision. And I'll give an example of this. It would be like your players have stepped into a room and they're inspecting things. And for the sake of the example, there's a chest that is a mimic, very common D&D monster. So what they do, one of the players looking around the room, they look at the chest, and you say the mimic monster comes to life, rolls to it, hits, crits, you're dead. And the player's like, what? It's like, yeah, you're dead. Sorry, man. Like, that's an example of, the player, it's a casual instance of like, I'm inspecting things. What's the worst that can happen? And then you've lined up this catastrophic consequence of like, well, you guys didn't roll. You didn't check for traps, and the room squished you. Like, stuff like that's really obnoxious. And it's whenever there's this mismatch of it hasn't been communicated. Something Brennan does really well, and he just did this in, I think it was a Wired interview, but we talked about it in the Discord when he was asked, how do you deal with the TPK? And he said, well, I typically tell my players on the front end that is a possibility. I say, hey, you're heading into a combat that you're going to want to really focus on this. Similarly, I had a combat session for one of my campaigns that before they went into it, I said, hey, first I said, do y'all want to do any prep before you go into this room? And they were like, classic D&D players, like, no, we're good. And then I was kind of like, hey, this is, for lack of a better phrase, this is a very serious combat. You might want to think about. And I said it in some way that was like more atmospheric rather than like, make sure you're preparing. It was like, I had some storytelling way to say this, but it was basically like, you guys could die. Like, this is a serious encounter. And that they were like, oh, okay, well, yeah, let's talk about this. Let's figure this out. The more I play D&D, the more I realize that how your players trust you and learn to tell the story with you is all around how you communicate and how you gauge expectations with people in the group. And when communication doesn't happen well, it just leaves both people frustrated. And I remember I was playing with a guy one time where I was trying to make a decision. I think I was playing a sorcerer, and there was like some kindling or like an old campfire in the room or something. And I said something like, I think my idea in the combat was like to try to like light that up and then like maybe push a baddie into it or something. I don't remember what my thinking was. But to the DM, I said something like, hey, is it possible for me to like light that up or do something like that? And he goes, no, that would be too challenging, but thanks for inspecting that. Let's go to the next person now. And I was like, well, wait, hang on. I don't want to do that then. And he was like, well, sorry, that was your decision. And I didn't even like roll or anything. And I was like, well, I wasn't committing to that. And it left me feeling like I had wasted my turn coming back around to it. So, communication, it's a good thing to do in your sessions. And then You Begin in a Tavern added, same thing on a way bigger scope as how people handle in-game puzzles. Do you telegraph clues or relay out-of-game meta-knowledge and hope for the best? I'm only giggling because I just know if I have the easiest puzzle ever, my players are going to spend 2 hours on it. And meanwhile, I had a puzzle for my players where it was a series of rooms. It was like the old movie, The Cube, I think is what it was, that old school movie. Well, they were in a dungeon where like the doors rotated. And what I wanted to do was, what I thought in my head was they needed to figure out the correct sequence of going through the doors, kind of like an old school Zelda game. Like if you go in the wrong door, you go back to the start. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to create some kind of code that would tell them left, center, right in terms of the doors to go in. So I went to ChatGPT and was like, here's the poem that I want you to use. Help me figure out some kind of code where like the third letter is the letter A. And what's that called, by the way, where like B equals F, like that kind of stuff. It was like it was so complicated that I was like, this is insanity. I probably spent 2 hours just trying to figure out how to do this code. Well, we get into the session, and literally in the very first room, one of my players goes, I think the poem is like something for left, middle, right. And I'm like, maybe. And they had it figured out in about 40 seconds after that. And then meanwhile, I've had riddles that are so simple, and it's insanity. It's insanity how long it takes. To answer your question, do you telegraph clues or give that information, that meta knowledge? I kind of think about the session as a whole, in the sense of, D&D is all about having fun. There was a point that I was a player, and we were doing a riddle or a puzzle, and like literally after an hour of it, we all kind of looked at each other, and I looked at the DM, and I was like, dude, we don't know, man. Like, seriously, we have no idea. Like, we're stuck. So I think remembering that D&D is all about fun, which this is a weird statement, I guess, because some people forget this detail. I've had DMs that are like, it's my job to make this as hard as possible. I'm like, no, it's your job to make it fun. Now, fun looks different for everyone, but it is a game. Remember, it's a game. So with that, if my players are like forever deep on a riddle and they're frustrated, I'm going to move this thing along. So I might say, I'll probably guide them in some way to help them feel like they accomplished it rather than just like outright telling them. But then there was a time where it was a very simple riddle. And for me, I thought it was so simple, but the players couldn't get it. And I even outright said, hey, I kind of envision this being like a 15-minute thing, and we're like an hour in. For the sake of our session, how heavy-handed do you want me to give you a clue? And in that case, they were like, we're good, man. We're good to just move along. And I was like, okay, so you figure it out. So, but I had a full Vigineer. I've never heard this word. Vigineer cipher in a game. And cipher, by the way, is the word I was trying to think of earlier. I was having ChatGPT help me build this cipher. In my game, and my ranger had it figured out in 30 seconds and corrects me on a mistake in it. I love it. I love it. So, anyway, crazy concept, y'all. D&D is all about having fun. So, with that, if it's not neat and tidy, that's okay. Well, I think I've rambled about D&D for today's stream today. I don't know whatever happened to Will. He probably just forgot, but I appreciate you all tuning in today. We typically wrap it up after about half an hour. So I'm excited to share some D&D DMing stuff in the Discord after this current arc ends in one of my campaigns here in the next few weeks. But other than that, we just put up our Worlds Beyond number latest episode. We'll have our Divergence breakdown sometime next week. Next Thursday is the Q&A, the campaign wrap-up. And then we'll have our stream next Friday. So anyway, I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. And I hope you have a great weekend. See ya.